I started like having like schizophrenic episodes and stuff like people are watching me and shit like that, and it was really bad.
I also started to develop pretty bad anxiety and depression to the point where I had to see my GP quite regularly, and I was put onto antidepressants. My mum, she would post me articles like telling me that, look, there's like a link between like depression and like veganism. And like I said, to me, I kind of always saw it as, oh, my mum's just she feels bad about her diet, and like she's just showing me all of this to bring me down and to make me go back to their old ways because she isn't willing to go vegan. I just started to just keep getting so anxious, and I even ended up on a few occasions whilst I was at university, I ended up actually having a few suicidal attempts, but I never really linked it to my veganism. I just thought it was just something else. A lot of times when I was at work, there were times where I had panic attacks. I was really fatigued, and there were times where I ended up missing work as well. I mean, at the time, I kind of thought it was just, I was just mentally weak. I'm just shit at everything. I'm just a weak person.
My mental illness just increased a lot. I just became a blunt person, very depressed, quite bipolar, if you like. A lot of people around me kind of noticing it. I wasn't laughing anymore, I wasn't vibrant anymore. I would get to a place and always had this kind of, dragging through the day at work, meetings with my managers. I was always being negative about everything. I didn't have joy about life at all.
So I think I was just way too excited, but I also started to realize that I was behaving a little bit like manic. Like I was way too excited, like I was like kind of like high in a very unsustainable way, and I was a little bit off the charts, and so I had that kind of energy.
Along my whole journey, I kept a journal. So I almost wrote every day what I was feeling. And now in these last 2 weeks that I'm not vegan anymore, I look back at all my journal entries, and it was really like a story of some depressed person. It was always negative and always, you could, when I read it back, I really felt like I was really struggling with my life. And the symptoms that I was having, especially also in the last half year, they got really worse. It was severe anxiety. I didn't want to meet up with people anymore. It took me months to reply to messages, just a normal message of a friend saying, hi, how are you? Do you want to meet up? And I wouldn't reply to it. I just stared at my phone and just put my phone away. I didn't want to have contact with anybody, even though I knew it was better for me to see people, have friends. I just didn't feel like doing that anymore. A worsening of my negative thinking patterns. I would go into these thought cycles that would go so deep that I was even thinking of ways to not wanting to exist anymore. Basically suicidal thoughts. And those were really scary to me because I thought to myself, like, why am I thinking these things? This is not normal, but I would never blame it to my diet. I thought it was just, there were just mental problems, but those could have nothing to do with my diet because this is a good diet for me.
I lived in a really bland world. Everything was just black and white. I had a really hard time accessing my emotions or feeling anything. I could appreciate things. I was a very cerebral person. I really relied on my mind. And so like if I was like at the beach or in the woods or something, I could see that everything was beautiful, just purely from a cognitive standpoint, but I couldn't appreciate it just as a felt experience. Right. I couldn't feel beauty. I couldn't really feel love.
People got really worried like the people around me, my mother and relatives and stuff. And I just started getting quite paranoid, you know. I think it also has to do with your brain not getting the nutrients and everything, because that's something I hear from a lot of vegans, that they get really paranoid. And so in my case, it got so bad, like I was always scared to death. I was like, yeah, if my relatives see me, they will call the police or something and tell them I have an eating disorder, which looking back, like veganism is the worst eating disorder of them all. Yeah, and then I was just so scared of being delivered to like a mental hospital or something. And that was like a fear that was always around, and maybe it was even justified. But I couldn't sleep anymore. Basically, when I slept 2 or 3 hours a night, I could call myself lucky. And yeah, at some point I just decided to call it quits. I was like, no, I'm getting out of here. People here just want to kill me. They don't understand detoxification and shit like that. So I started looking around, and I started looking for fruitarian communities around the world. And then I found 2 such communities in Spain, and then I went to these communities and spent a few days there in both, but actually just something didn't feel right, because the people there were like completely fucked in the head. They were so weird, all of them, and like behaving, like really autistic in a way. And I was there and I was eating nothing but watermelons for like 2 weeks. Just every day I would go from the campground to the little village and buy 2 watermelons, and then I would eat these. And every time I ate one, I got massive panic attacks, because it fucked my blood sugar so badly.
So anyways, year 3, year 4 comes around, and I'm noticing that my productivity is just like low. You know, I'm not making videos, I'm not doing content. I really don't have the same drive that I had, and I just couldn't figure it out. I didn't know why, you know. It was like I would get these spurts of just like inspiration, and yeah, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna make all this content, and I'm gonna, you know, blah blah blah. And then it was just like, yeah, you know, and I just get so tired.
All throughout my veganism, I had like really bad anxiety and paranoia. I was so paranoid about every little thing, like just like a sound, or like the girls would cough, and I'm like, oh God, they're getting sick. Or like I would go to the laundry room and I'd think like someone's gonna come get me. Like I had like the worst paranoia. It was super weird. I'm not like that anymore. I just like went away. I blamed smoking weed, though. I thought, oh, I just smoked too much weed. So I stopped smoking weed. But now I smoke weed sometimes, and I still don't have it. So I definitely think it was, because it's all during the time I was vegan that I was such bad anxiety.
I lost a couple of friends as well, because they were like, wow, you're such a crazy hypochondriac fool right now. Like, you're not the same anymore as you was a few years ago. Like, you were all energetic and always happy, and right now you're sad and depressed, and you don't have any energy whatsoever.
I do feel as if I actually feel like I can cope with the day, whereas before I felt like I was just really struggling along. And my mum used to say, she was literally like, Brandon, you're 20 years old. You should be in your prime. I was in a lot of pain and suffering, mentally and physically.
And then slowly but surely, I started to see somewhat of a decline. I was also depressed for some time, around late 2016, so like around December. And then all of 2017 was just terrible. I was depressed. I was eating vegan junk food. I gained a lot of weight, tons of mock meats. It was terrible. And then in 2018, I vowed to myself to go on another journey of health, but this time to do the right veganism, right? We're supposed to do the right kind of veganism. And that's what I did. And surely enough, you could see a lot of progress from day 1 to month 6. Like, I lost weight and everything was good. But then we hit a sharp decline.
Not realizing at the time how closely gut health is related to psychological health, I began developing a lot of psychological issues, not really just sort of like typical depression, but more like just like just sort of a crumbling of reality, a crumbling of my sense of how to construct understandings of things. And it really started to go downhill, and I suffered through multiple hospitalizations, one involuntary, and looking back, I think that I didn't realize how closely related B vitamins are related to mood stability, and how closely your gut health is related to neurological functions. So I think that the failing of my digestive functions affected my neurological health.
I didn't have energy for anything. I was depressed. Oh, anxiety, that's really big.
I was starting to experience a lot of ups and downs emotionally and with my ability to focus and concentrate. It was like when I was carved up, I felt great, and then an hour later I was just feeling low and tired. Whereas now, I mean, I can eat once a day if I feel like it, and my mental acuity and my focus is just always there.